Lyra stood tall, her silhouette etched against the dying light of the sun. A beacon against the darkness, she was a symbol of hope in a world teetering on the brink of despair. Her armor, once gleaming silver, was now scarred and battle-worn, each mark a testament to her resilience. It told a story of countless battles fought and won, of sacrifices made and victories earned. The Sunstone, emblem of her order, shone brightly on her chest, a radiant sun defying the encroaching shadows. It was more than just a symbol, it was a beacon of hope, a reminder of the light that still existed in the world. Lyra was the last of her kind, the last Sunstone knight, carrying the weight of her fallen comrades. The weight of her duty, of her lineage, rested heavily on her shoulders, but she bore it with unwavering resolve. Her gaze remained resolute, her spirit unbroken, a testament to her unyielding determination. She was Aethel's last hope, the final bastion against the encroaching darkness. And she would not fall, for she carried the hopes and dreams of an entire realm. Lyra adjusted the straps of her armor, feeling the familiar weight settle around her. It was heavy, but it felt familiar, comforting. Like a second skin, it was a part of her. She checked her sword, its blade still sharp, still thirsty for the blood of her enemies. It had tasted the blood of her enemies before, and it would taste it again. She was ready, ready to fight, ready to protect, ready to be the light in the darkness. The Obsidian King and his armies had swept across the land like a plague, their dark banners casting long shadows over every village and town they conquered. Leaving only destruction and despair in their wake, they razed entire cities to the ground, reducing once thriving communities to mere memories. Once vibrant cities were now smoldering ruins, their streets filled with the ashes of what once was. Verdant fields, now barren wastelands, lay desolate under a sky perpetually shrouded in dark clouds. The very air was thick with the stench of death and decay, a grim reminder of the devastation that had befallen the land. Aethel, once a land of peace and prosperity, was on the brink of collapse, its once lush countryside now a war-torn wasteland. Its people were losing hope, their faces etched with despair as they wandered through the ruins of their former lives. Their spirits broken by the relentless onslaught, they could only watch as their world crumbled around them. The king and his forces seemed unstoppable, their victory inevitable as they marched triumphantly through the conquered lands. But even in the face of such overwhelming darkness, a single spark of defiance remained, flickering stubbornly against the encroaching night. A flicker of hope that refused to be extinguished, a beacon for those who still believed in a brighter future. Lyra, the last Sunstone knight, would be their champion, a symbol of resistance and courage in these dark times. Their shield against the encroaching darkness, she stood ready to defend her people and reclaim their lost glory. The battlefield was a scene of utter chaos. Smoke and fire filled the air, obscuring vision and choking the lungs of those who fought. The ground trembled with the force of the conflict, a cacophony of war cries and the clash of weapons. The clash of steel against steel was deafening, each strike a testament to the warrior's resolve. Sparks flew as swords met, a deadly dance of skill and strength. The cries of the wounded were heart-wrenching, a symphony of agony that echoed across the battlefield, each scream a reminder of the cost of war. The ground was littered with the bodies of the fallen, a grim testament to the ferocity of the battle. Blood soaked the earth, mingling with the mud. Both friend and foe lay still, their struggles ended. The battlefield was a somber reminder of the thin line between life and death. Lyra moved through the carnage like a wraith. Her movements were fluid and deadly, a dance of death that left no room for error. Her sword flashed, a silver arc cutting through the darkness. Each swing was a precise, lethal strike, a testament to her training and determination. Each swing found its mark, each strike precise and lethal. Her enemies fell before her, unable to match her skill and ferocity. Around her, the soldiers of Aethel, inspired by her courage, fought with renewed vigor. Her presence on the battlefield was a rallying point, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. She was a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. Her aura seemed to glow, a light in the darkness that gave strength to those around her. Her presence alone was a challenge to the enemy's advance. They hesitated, their resolve faltering in the face of her unyielding spirit. Lyra paused, her chest heaving. The battle raged around her, a maelstrom of violence and despair. She was weary, her body aching, her spirit heavy with the weight of all she had witnessed. But she could not yield, not now, not while Aethel still clung to life. She looked up at the sky, searching for a sign, a glimmer of hope. The clouds parted, and for a brief moment, the sun broke through, bathing the battlefield in its golden light. It was a sign, a reminder of why she fought. For Aethel, for hope, for the dawn that would follow this long, dark night. Lyra raised her sword, the sunlight glinting off its polished surface. "For Aethel!" she cried, her voice ringing out across the battlefield, and with a surge of adrenaline, she charged back into the fray. The battle was far from over, but in that moment a promise was made, a promise whispered on the wind, carried on the breath of hope. Lyra, the last Sunstone knight, would fight to the very end. She would be the shield that protected Aethel, the light that banished the darkness. Victory would be hers, hope would prevail,